What it is, what it ain't, what it do, what it don't. Episode 7? 7. Welcome back, official Doodads podcast. Again, come check us out if you haven't already. You can find us at Doodads Podcast, YouTube channel. Find us on Spotify, TikTok, all the things. While we're at it, want to go ahead and give a shout out. We've partnered with Dad Gang Company. They do headgear, and if you got a hat or a beanie that you're really into, they make it. It says Dad Gang. Check them out. When you're in there, use the promo code when you're checking out, Doodads 14721. That's DODADS 14721. Get 10% off. So go ahead, go to Dad Gang Company. Check them out.
Gang, baby.
There it is. What up, man?
Oh, you know, just another day in life. Young DAD. Oh, man. Dude. So I do have some,
Come on.
funny stories that happened over the weekend as we do a little bit of catch up. But I have a rant. I've got a beef that I've got to get it off my chest. So Monday nights, Julia and I go on a date night because Jamie has her little thing she does.
Yeah.
And we usually go to Chick-fil-A. It fluctuates between Chick-fil-A and Waffle House, but it's usually Chick-fil-A 9 times out of 10. And, we go to the one that's got the little indoor play place so Julia can play and do her thing and everything. And as if it's not chaotic and hectic enough to try to nourish your young child's body with chicken nuggets and french fries and a lemonade while she just wants to play. Here's the deal. There's a sign in that play place that says, playground is for children 3 years and under, okay? If you're a parent and you let your 12-year-old child go into the Chick-fil-A play place, you should be slapped in the back of your head.
That's not very Christian, no.
There's absolutely no reason that there should be large children running around this tiny jungle gym with small children. And it's not even from my kid isn't safe thing. It's just and then my other thing is too, I don't even blame the kid. At that point, get your large child out of the playground. For the rules are the rules. That's fine. I'm a rule follower. I like the rules, but also it's just dumb and it's weird. And I don't want my 3-year-old girl climbing through tunnels and running around this playground with your 12-year-old son who's in his baseball uniform. Do something. Get your kid who's 12 and large and is starting to get hair on his nuts a little bit out of the freaking playground with my 3-year-old little girl. And also, if you're that 12-year-old boy, bro, grow up. Go look at Livy Dunn on Instagram or something. Get out of the play place. Go eat your nuggets. Hang out with dude. I was so aggravated by the fact that there were all these grown-ass kids in this play place when it's hey, mom, hey, dad, first of all, read the sign. And second of all, just let the little kid do his or her thing. If you're 4 or 5, okay, I get that. But dude, once you've gotten to close to double digit, that'd be like me and you going and hanging out at Chuck E. Cheese. Without our children being there. It's not for grown-ass men with beards and bellies. You know what I'm saying? I was hot.
Was?
I'm still a little bit flustered, but it's not the first time that it happened. It every now and then she meets a little friend and they play and it's cute and it's fun. But tonight I was just man, get your damn grown kids out of the play place. And if you're a grown kid in the play place, grow up. And now my rant is over. So I have a couple of funny stories, though, about the weekend. Do you have any thoughts on the play place? I'd like to know. I know I'm crazy, but also, give me a break.
Well, and I would flip that and be like, are they being violent? Are they being sexually harassing? Anything like that? I get the principle behind, I get your logic.
Yeah.
but like you're exactly like Courtney. You are my wife. I mean, it's like if it's a rule, everybody needs to follow it, right?
Yeah.
Except for the speed limit for her, and except for when it's like, what do we do? And I guess I'm I don't ever want to be Mr. Pollyanna, positive Polly and all, but we're two guys sitting here having a podcast talking about how to be a little bit more compassionate with our kids. We're like, get out of the damn place.
I mean, I guess for me, it wasn't. I guess it's also like, bro, you wouldn't catch me 12 years old in a jungle gym.
Maybe that's the problem.
Maybe so. Maybe that's
maybe you should have played in the jungle gym a little bit more.
Let me in the jungle gym.
I mean, I'm just
man.
These kids were disrupting something for you.
They were disrupting my peace of mind, and like
there's a safe moment in time that you have with Julia.
Yes,
and
correct.
They were disrupting that.
That's correct.
Has nothing to do with the rules. Has nothing to do with the playpen. Nothing. There is a sacred time and place that happens between you and your daughter, and they were disrupting that.
Man, and we somehow made this about me.
I didn't do anything. I'm just saying, like, it's one of those things, like, I have to spend my entire, like, day realizing, like, when somebody does something I'm not really, real fresh with, I might have to be like, well,
yeah.
Is it really about them following the, because if they took one too many ketchup packets, or if they, didn't, it's like this moment, this time, this space, this place.
Yeah. And I guess there's like, part of it is too that like,
and you've admitted to being like the regimented, like,
that, and then I've also admitted to being like it's gotten drastically better, but like I've also admitted to being the, I played out in my head this big ass kid knocks my little squirt of a child, 3 stories down the jungle gym, and there goes, my milkshake, and we're headed to the hospital instead. And I'm just like, come on, bro, like, give me a break. But you're right, it does. It throws a wrinkle in that. Like, I just want to sit there, and it's already, I've tried like sitting outside the play place and letting her play, but she wants me to come in there with her, which is fine. I'll come in there with her and watch her. And then like this big ass prepubescent, smelly little kid who doesn't wear deodorant yet, it's just running amok through that place. And I'm like, come on, dog. Like, give me anyway. But
does she? So my question is like, when you get home or maybe get back in the car, do you ever ask her how she feels?
No.
Do you ever like say like, hey, how do you feel about all these kids getting in there?
No, I don't, but I do notice it gives her a significant amount of anxiety. Like, but she also, it's like this juggling act in her little brain of like, I really want to play, but these bigger kids that are running around also make me really nervous to where I can't actually enjoy playing. Like, she plays fine with kids her age and her size and stuff, and girls, like older girls, like our mutual friend who has a 11, 12-year-old daughter. Like, she loves her. But it's just, she gets overwhelmed really easily. The statistics aren't out on COVID babies quite yet. It took her a year before she realized there was more humans in the world than the 5 of us that she knew, And so like lots of people overwhelm her, and then lots of like hyperactivity kind of overwhelms her a little bit. And so, no, but I haven't actually ever asked her how she feels about it. Maybe next time that's something I'll try, just to see, hey, what...
I think like sometimes the stuff that works us up, and especially as a parent, I can let something really rag me, just really work me up, and I have to sit there and go, does Ben even, right? Even Aubrey, because Aubrey at 15, I mean, she has... literally, I mean, she's developed her own world, her own space, her own life. There's a lot that still she's reliant upon us, but her friends, her, the technology she's using and what she's got her own little space. So something can happen a lot of times, and I'll be like, I don't know, I'll be worked up about it. And what's funny is I can, down the road bring it up, and she doesn't.
Well, and
so
then,
I don't know.
Yeah, well, and then too,
I think maybe how I react to something's more what maybe she remembers, and so
100. That's exactly what I was getting ready to say. Is that how often is my reaction through osmosis become her reaction to where, and I'm not being an asshole, but like Jamie has this thing with bugs and spiders and all this other kind of stuff, which I'm like, I get it. You don't want, bugs, right? But like, we get pest control done at our house. Like, I'm doing everything I can. I'm not about to run through the house with magnifying glass and finding the spiders and the bugs and stuff. But like, her reaction to a bug or the potential possibility of maybe there's a chance of mosquito flew in my hair, and then Julia's reaction. And so it's like, if there's a clear disdain in my demeanor about having these bigger kids in there, then just in general, I probably don't think about that enough of how, my we talked about it a couple times. They're watching, they're watching. And so all of a sudden now, because I'm pissed off about something, or I'm scared of something, or I'm feeling some type of way about something that she doesn't have a feeling about whatsoever, she becomes that way because she sees me be that way, But, dude, so I was thinking about kind of talking a little bit about, like the expectation of becoming a parent versus or a dad versus what it's actually been like the first couple of years with a small child. And wanted to tell these two little stories from over the weekend real quick. So Saturday we go to lunch with some friends, and we go to another little like cafe. It's a real white people type cafe. Like, it's bougie. They got, these coffees and indoor play sets with the learning things and whatever. And she didn't want to go down the slide. She doesn't like enclosed slides. She likes where she can see. Well, this was an enclosed twisty one. And I said to her, hey, if you go down the slide, I'll give you $1. And she was,
What?
That was my go-to. I wanted her to go down the slide. So I'll give you $1. She said, no. I said, how about I give you $2? She said, okay. Smart girl. And so she goes down the slide, and, she loves it, has fun, plays the rest of the day. Didn't hear anything else about it.
Wait till she understands how inflation works.
Well, she hustled me out of $8, and I'm about to tell you how.
Good girl.
So, what's that Juvenile song? She get it from her mama. So Sunday, I'm just sitting there watching the Players PGA tournament, and she walks over real quiet. She goes, "Hey, Daddy." I was like, "Yeah, what's up, baby?" She said, "Do you remember yesterday when you said if I go down the slide, you would give me $2? And I said, I do remember this. And she goes, "Well, you didn't give me $2 yet." And I was like, "Okay, you're right." And I'm a man of my word. And so, I typically don't carry cash. But I went and I found a $5 bill, and I was like, it's better than nothing or whatever, And I said, "Okay, here you go. It's $5. And she grabs the $5 bill, and she looks at it, and she looks at me, and she looks at it again, and she looks at me like I just did the dumbest thing she could have possibly seen me do. And she goes, "Daddy, this is only $1. Like one physical piece of paper." I said, "Jesus, you're right. It is." And so I was trying to go run an errand, and Jamie was trying to go pick up groceries. And for the sake of argument, I went and got her another $5 bill, because it was either that or a 10 or a 20. So I go, "Okay, here, now you have $2. And she's like, "Yes, thank you." So like I said, she hustled me out of $8, right? But I figured, okay, we're going to go to the store. I'm going to let her pick something out. I'm going to use this as a teaching opportunity. I'm going to teach this girl the value of $1 here, And so we go to Academy, and she doesn't find anything she likes. So we stop at Family Dollar. And she's looking, and she was like, I want some candy or whatever. I was like, whatever, fine. So she picks out a tub of cotton candy and a lollipop. Okay. We go to the register, and it's $1.84. And I was like, okay, cool. So she gives the cashier her $5 bill. I hold the other $5 bill, and he gives her back, 3 ones and some change.
$3.16.
And there you go. And so we go walk to the truck, and I give her the other 5, and she goes, "Daddy, I love that store, because when I went there, I only had $2, and now I have $4 and some coins." And I was like, dude, this little kid is brilliant, And so we go home, and she's so proud of her little money and all this stuff. She's telling Jamie how Family Dollar multiplied her freaking, and like, it was just the funniest little, most innocent thing in the world. But anyway, later on that day, she started acting up. She's, tired or aggravated or whatever. It was at dinner time, and she wasn't eating, and don't know if there's any tricks or anything out there for, getting kids to eat their dinner, but I haven't figured them out yet. My expectation was, I'm going to cook something for me and my wife and my kid, and the kid's just going to eat a smaller version or portion of what we ate, and it's all going to be all hunky-dory, happy dandy. It's not like that. But she was acting up and whatever and getting loud, and, she's 3, but she's also 16, and she's doing the whole neck roll and the eyes and the this, and dude, it irked me. And so I said, listen, you're not going to talk to me like that. You need to go sit in your calming corner so you can come back out and have a little bit of a better attitude, and then we'll finish having dinner. She goes in her room, and she's back there. She's just freaking recording an album. She's singing, having a great time. I'm like, this little broad ain't learning shit about this here in this lesson, She comes back out, and she starts sassing again.
Because you thought she wasn't calm. She's calm.
She was calm. I didn't like it, but she was. And so she starts getting all again. And at this point, I turned her around, and I popped her on her butt. She goes off, running away, crying. And I go give her a couple minutes. I go in her room, and I sat down on the bed. I said, Julia, come sit by me. And I was like, do you know why? Do you know what just happened? Do you know why you had to come to your room? Do you know why Daddy got upset? Do you know? And she's sitting there and I'm trying to at this point, everything is flooding me. It's every emotion that I have. It's every experience of disciplining her that I have. It's every selfish desire and urge to teach her a lesson in this moment. It's all just over. It's everywhere. And so I'm trying to now have the discussion and do the more gentle thing and talk to her a little bit. And because she's smart, she figured out how to turn $2 into $8 and then into $4, she's good. And she's kicking her feet all over the bed and all this other crap. And I said, Julia Rose, if you don't sit still and listen to me, I'm going to turn you over and pop you on your butt again. And she said, well, that's fine. Just don't do it as hard this time. And I was like, I got to get out of here. And so I walked out, and I went and sat in my chair. And I told Jamie, I said, look, it's your turn. I tried. I've pulled out all 4 of the disciplinary tricks that I think I know, and none of them are working. Maybe you can go talk to her. And she's like, all right. So she gives her a couple minutes. She goes in there and she says, Julia, I need you to listen. Are your ears open? And she goes, no, I don't think my ears have any holes in them. And then she says, okay, do you know why Daddy sent you back here and tried to come back here and talk to you? And she goes, no, did he tell you? And we're screwed is how I feel. I feel in those moments so defeated that we don't, and I know that that's dramatic and that's not the truth, but in those moments, I'm just like, bro, nobody, from the talking to the spanking to to all of, put out all stops here, and nothing seemed to work in that moment, and it's just this shit is not as easy as it seems sometimes, or it's not as easy as I think it should be, and I guess that's part of the fun of it all. But dude, it was one of those weekends where I was just like, do we want another one? Is this really what we want? Do we want to do this again? What does this look like in 10 years? It's exhausting. It's a good time. How was y'all's weekend?
Went to the parade.
St. Patty's?
Yeah. It rolls right by my folks' house, and I've grown up always going to it. And so it's kind of become a big thing with me and Courtney and Aubrey and now Ben. And
y'all hang out and cook and do all the...
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because my dad, with my mom being gone, my dad, in a lot of ways, the house has kind of gone to disrepair. I mean, I already kind of somewhat not the best digs, kind of squalor or whatever, but then, it's gone to disrepair and whatever. And I don't know, a lot of folks didn't stop by afterwards, which was okay. Of course, I did marry my mother. So my mom used to overshop. She would constantly, you know, if there was 4 of us, she was getting, 10 meals. If there's 4 of us and, you talk toilet paper, you get a pack of 8 or whatever, and she'd get the. So, I told Courtney, she's like, well, I was thinking, because of Ben and whatnot, Aubrey's going to go. It was the first time we let Aubrey go. She wanted to go to a friend's and go, which, after the play, right? It's like, okay, here's some more rope,
Sure.
and she was good. She was good as gold. She was there. She did fine. I mean, she didn't come back smelling like a brewery or anything. But Courtney was like, yeah, I'll just get some hot dogs or whatever. And I was like, all right, cool. And, we got hot dog, like a 40-pack of hot dogs and sliders and buns and all the things. And it was fine. But the more every year I do it, the more anxious I get because I feel, and I hate to use the word obligated, but I do, because as my father's son, as the person who's, I think of the 2 kids probably giving him the most grief. I've made it a point to, to show up, to be, I'm the one who goes and gets the Christmas tree. I'm the one who puts up the Christmas lights on the house. I'm the one who, gets his grass cut for him. I'm the one who, when it's Halloween time and he does fog machines, the whole, people in the neighborhood know my dad's house. They know it. And it's like a legit maze with lit little path with, all sorts. Yeah. I mean, it's cool, but it's a lot. Yeah. And I know every year in with St. Patty's, with that parade and that time, he typically has a few libations, and then the things start to be said and happen that, and it's this, how do I navigate this experience without upsetting him?
Yeah.
Having a complete falling out, still make him happy and be a good son and whatever. And what's crazy is that my mom's dad, the only grandparent that I ever really knew, who passed away when I was like 7 or 8, he was drunk. And it's so funny because it's always this discussion, especially from my sister, who's 9 years older than me, so she remembered a lot more of him. And I was like, he was the best. I'd sit on his lap. He'd make me milk coffee. He'd give me, little... Well, right. Like, it's, cafe au lait, but it's, right, and he'd little Milky Ways, know, and she's like, yeah, because you'd be asleep by 8 o'clock. She's like, you weren't awake for him to keep drinking and see what he was like. And like the time he basically kidnapped you and told mom that he was going to take you on a trip, he was stone drunk, and tried to put me in a car and, it was like a whole, I don't remember any of that, right? I mean, he was just a sweet old man that I remember. But I don't remember any of my grandparents except for him. And I realized that between Courtney's mom and my dad, that's all Ben has.
Yeah.
And so in a lot of ways, Aubrey has her dad's parents, mom, father, things like that. Also has, her Courtney's mom. But Ben, all he really has is his Nana, Courtney's mom, and my dad. And so it's a big deal for me to you want to go see Grandpa. And he's like, I want to go see Grandpa, and it's like, I always take these pictures, I always take a picture of the 3 of us, and I'm always like the prequel and the sequel, and I'm in the middle, it was good. It was anxious and whatnot, but it was good. And Sunday was a day of rest and relax. Saturday night, Courtney and I score. We got a night out. Okay, we went to the movies. Just me and Courtney. Went and saw Dune Part 2.
Man.
Yeah, the sleeper has awakened.
Okay, y'all doing some weird shit.
No,
I really want to see it.
It's so, it's the hero's journey. It is. It is Luke Skywalker.
It is. Send you down on a.
Oh yeah, don't get me started on Star Wars.
I don't want to.
But I mean, it really is. It's King Arthur. It's the story of Christ. It's the story of any. I mean, it is a guy who is faced with all sorts of odds, and he's basically told Neo, you're the one.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to be the one.
Yeah.
It's a lot to burden.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a heavy burden to shoulder and all that. But
I know the feeling.
it's a. But it was good. We went and saw it, and Sunday was like a day of recovery.
Yeah.
Just trying to like get up and it's funny you bring that up because Ben, I remember being in a post delivery, and I probably said this before, but like I remember she was so worried because he was so quiet, and we're going like we're coming out of because we were in op. Because she had surgery.
Right.
So we're coming out of post and we're going to the post delivery room. It's not your room, but it's like.
Right. Yeah.
And like we're going through it. I mean, there are kids just wailing. They're infants, they're newborns, like literally only hours old. And and she was worried. And I was like, don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's take what we can get. And I'm talking good as gold. No tantrums, no nothing. And about 6 months ago, he was doing it during the parade. Like I would say, Ben, I need you to stay right here. Do you understand? Okay. You understand? And he'd say, hey.
Yeah. Anytime your kid starts back with,
look.
It's never good.
No, look. So Ben has this thing, right? When he wants to go do something and because he's not dumb. He knows like what he's trying to go do. Ain't really.
Yeah.
He goes, stay right here. Okay. Okay, Dad, stay right here. I'm like, so I stay and then I just watch, and he does, he'll walk and he'll take another step and it's all about development. I mean, he's pushing the envelope. He's trying to figure out where will I actually lay down the hammer?
Yeah.
And that comes on me and his mom, and I try not to, again, as a podcast about dads and parenting and all that, we've said that from jump, like, by no means do I want to sit here and try to convey this idea that like I am a psychologist on parenthood or anything, No. But I do realize like consistency is key. And so if I say, if you do this, these are the consequences, and then they do it and I don't dole out, then there's a problem.
Yeah.
And I can't get mad at him for trying to continue to push the envelope. And it can be frustrating. What I have learned, at least recently, is one, tag teaming, tagging in the partner, you know.
Yeah.
But also, I think, what do they say? Like a dog basically is like the emotional equivalence of a 4 or 5 year old, maybe at best.
Right.
They just never get past that, And so I try to look at Ben like that in a lot of ways. Like, like if Charlie craps on the floor, I don't kick Charlie.
Right.
I don't get mad and I get frustrated because I have to go. But like, why is Charlie shitting on the floor? Because he wasn't taken out like he was supposed to. I want to get mad at Aubrey because it's her dog. It's our dog. But I'm like, you wanted the dog, whatever, like responsibility, whatever. Let's learn this lesson. But like, Charlie is exactly what Charlie does. Mm-hmm. He is a dog, and he shits and he eats and he sleeps and he's just finally stopped chewing. He's 3+ years old. Like that, his development is what it is. And for me to ever get mad at him for pissing somewhere when it's my responsibility.
Yeah.
He doesn't have opposable thumbs, like he can't feed himself. Yeah, and so a lot of times, I'm trying to think of what movie it was where maybe it's Meet the Focker or Meet the Parents or whichever one where the cat's sitting on the toilet or whatever.
Anything with nipples, Greg.
I have nipples, Greg. Could you milk me? But like Ben, he does. He pushes the envelope, and I I have to remind myself and I have to restrain myself. And I have to be able to be the kind of parent. This is, again, for me, for my family, for what I want to cultivate in the human that I'm trying to raise. And the longer this goes and the more I do this, I don't even know sometimes, like, the verbiage, like, I don't even know if I'm raising Ben. Sometimes I'm wondering if, like, I damn sure didn't raise Aubrey. Aubrey raised me, like I said, but, like, maybe this is just me being present for his unfold. Like, the flower blooms no matter what.
Right.
The flower's gonna bloom no matter what. Do I give it water, and do I cultivate that, and do I stand back and be in the presence of its unfolding?
Yeah.
Or am I constantly messing with it and trying to arrange it the way I want it to be? And it's like, it's real hard because, Ben's got his little personality now. And I sit there and I look at him and I'm like, man, what are you going to be like in 10 years, 20 years? And so it's kind of this, like, mind job sometimes, like, what's over-parenting, what's forceful discipline, whatever. Kids, I don't know that we give them enough credit because they're just smart and they're not,
That's my thing with with Julia, and I know she's not the only one. She's one of a kind because she's mine, but I know that there are plenty of other children out there that are of the same intellectual capacity as her at her age, and but I've, like, jokingly said that she's not a full blown terrorist. Like, she's not a kamikaze. Like, she's not the one that is going to just recklessly disobey and terrorize things and cause a scene. Like, she's not that. Like, her, even though I called her a COVID baby earlier, but, like, her social awareness and her ability to kind of, like, behave in the appropriate setting and things like that. Like, not because we took her out to restaurants and forced her to be any kind of way, but, like, she maybe I've said this before, but we never really babied her. Like, we didn't, like, force her to grow up quick either, but we also have, like, I'm convinced she speaks and communicates so well because that's how we've always talked to her. Like, we've always talked to her in complete sentences and thoughts and encouraged her to, like, speak more than just a one, like, and my mom, I've said before, has played a huge role in that. And, she is, I feel like I'm grateful that we've been put in a position to, I can comfortably say I think we've done a good job with trying to help her develop in that way. But it's also, I've called her a crook before. And the reason I've called her a crook is because she doesn't like getting in trouble. Like, she doesn't want to break the rules. She doesn't want to piss you off and disappoint you at all. But, like, Ben or any other 3-year-old kid, like, she wants to figure out, how far can I go? Like, how far can I go within the confines of the things that aren't going to get me into some kind of serious trouble? And sometimes
she's going to be a hell of a poker player.
Dude, but like you said, in 10 years or 20 years, and it's funny, I've read things and seen people share things and talk about things about, look, she lacks no confidence. She's never met a stranger. She does get overwhelmed and she's a little uncertain of people, but, like, Saturday when we were out at that lunch, it was her and her little friend who, us and her parents are really close and they go to school together. And so then this other little girl who was maybe like a year or so older than them showed up, and Julia's straight to, hey, come do that, like, very friendly. And today at soccer, bro, not an athlete, love her to death, but just not an athlete. And one of her little friends on the soccer field was super sad. Like, the girl's mom came out, and then it was really windy and kind of chilly, so the mom went back and sit in the car, and the little girl freaked out, started crying, super upset. Julia's not worried about soccer. She's just over there picking flowers and giving, here, do you want this? Just trying to make, like, she's, got such a sweet little heart, but she gives me a run for my money when it comes to like really, and I'm still learning. Like I and that's again, like I had this expectation that, and how foolish it was, but I didn't know any better. But like I had this expectation that there was going to be a way that we were going to discipline her or teach her or nurture her or whatever, raise her. I like that you brought that up because it is a good point. But whatever you want to call it, help her develop, assist in her development, whatever. Of how that was going to go. And bro, you can't. The reality of the situation is it's different every day. Like every situation is different. Every exchange, every interaction, every, because Jamie and I have both been at fault of empty threats and inconsistencies and for the sake of convenience and not wanting, but I mean, dude, sometimes being consistent with her is not convenient for us because it means having to deal with an emotional reaction or a fit. Tonight's the last night you can have 2 applesauces after your bath. So then tomorrow night comes and she wants 2 applesauces, and well, no, last night we said it was the last night to have 2. You can have 1 tonight. She loses her shit, and it's way easier just to give her the second applesauce and not have to deal with it. But it's also that's not good for her, at least in my opinion. That's not helping her with anything. It's teaching her to just be able to be like, nah, and I get what I want, whether she's 3 or 15 or 25,
So like, yeah, every Friday I pick up Ben and we go and we get flowers for Courtney.
Yeah.
And we get coffee at Starbucks and he gets a cake pop.
Mm.
Mainly because I want him to see his dad get his mom flowers, and I want him to see how I hope he treats his future partner. Mm-hmm. And I want Aubrey to see,
right,
hopefully, how I think she deserves to be treated, right? But we get a cake pop. And for about a year that he really, cognitively understood. What I'm saying is, like, when we're doing it at 1, almost 2 years old, it's like, I mean, he wasn't getting a cake pop at, 6 months old.
Yeah.
Barely 1.
Yeah.
But like at 18 months old, 2 years, he's along for the ride. Mm-hmm. And his time, his idea of time is still fuzzy. Yeah. So like I'm picking you up from school and it's Friday and it's the day we go do this thing. And he's just kind of like, yeah. But from 2 to 3, every day was Friday. I pick him up, Dad, we get pop.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'd have to be like, no, man.
Yeah.
Today's Tuesday. He goes, no, it's Friday. But guess what? We're 3 and a quarter, He'll be 3.5 in June. And now I pick him up and he goes, no pop. It's Tuesday. And I'm like, we're learning the days of the week. And let me tell you something about that, like long 9 months to a year of what I went through was him having a fuss and him throwing a fit in the back of the car. And me not raising my voice, but me just turning around going, hey, buddy, I'm sorry, but that's what we do on Friday. Mm-hmm. And you have to learn. Like, you don't get what you want every day. And guess what? Like, and I personally was willing to suffer that. Some days he'd get a little out of hand, and I'd turn around and go, hey, dude, if you want, when we get home, you just go to your room, and we can just be done. If I don't want to be in trouble. And I'm like, I don't want you to be in trouble, buddy. Right. But, like, what's important here? And today, the long game, I see the benefits.
Yeah.
But, I was thinking when you were talking about Julia, I think that we fall victim to this balancing act, this Libra scale of my experiences. And so I don't want to go and bring any sort of traumatic, weird crap, this bullshit in a knapsack that I'm carrying with me and throw it on my kid, like overcompensate or bring that trauma with me. But at the same time, use those experiences to also hopefully counteract and teach what I wasn't,
No, and yeah.
And what I was going to say is I was 5 years old and I was the kid who was in trouble all the time. And I'm talking about I talked too much. I was never paying attention, whatever. And my mom, because my birthday's in December, they had that whole, like, you can put them in 4 going in, turning 5, or you can put them in 5 going in, turning 6. Mm-hmm. And they were told, look, depending on how he does, it could really harm him putting him in that early.
Yeah.
Probably should have been put in that early because I just was I obviously got bored very easily.
Right.
But I would get in trouble. And I still remember Miss Patterson. God rest your soul if you're not still with us, Miss Patterson. If you are, if you ever hear this, I am so sorry for what I was.
Shout out Miss P.
But Miss Patterson used to sit me in the knee hole of her desk and couldn't speak, couldn't play with any toys, couldn't do anything. I was just supposed to sit there and not move or speak until spoken to. And one day I had this, and it's as clear as day because she had to call my mom and dad about it. But I had this thought. And I don't know where this thought came from, but the thought came to me, we have to line up and go to lunch. And you all line up and you march like the little ants and you go to lunch and you go to the cafeteria. And she said I couldn't move or speak until I was told to. So she said, it's lunchtime. Everybody got up and she counted and she took everybody and she turned the light out. And I was sitting there in the knee hole. I played with toys. I did. When she came back, she said, Carl, where were you? And I said, you told me not to talk until you talked to me, I was very consciously aware of what I was doing.
Yeah.
And she had to make everybody get up and go to the cafeteria while I sat and ate. And at 5, 6 years old, like, I knew that I had the ability to control my narrative at any time. Now, that would come back to haunt me and really screw me up because then I'm trying to control every narrative in my life.
Right.
But at a very young age, I knew, like, I don't have to get mad. I can get even. I can, you know what I'm saying? And, like, what happened? You have ADD.
Yeah.
You have ADHD.
Yeah.
You have dissociative disorder. You have, and it's like, so if my kid should exhibit a little, exhibit a little bit of, outside the box thinking, a little, I don't know. Like, I try not to get lost in the idea of my kid disobeying me, and sometimes maybe try to see, like, actually, this is kind of impressive. This is actually kind of
that's
and it's hard because then they're not doing what I need them to do, though, and I get frustrated,
dude. That's the, like,
because you're getting duped by a 3-year-old.
That's my thing. Is, like, I was talking to my father-in-law the other day, and I was like, dude, she's gonna be she has the potential for a glamorous, successful career in stand-up comedy because her ability to, like, it started probably a year or so ago when she started rolling her eyes at 2 years old, and, like, it wasn't just like this, like, spastic eye roll. It was like in the moment that Jamie would roll her eyes at me as a grown woman and my wife, like, it was right on cue every time. And, like, her ability to, and so it is, like, I mean, dude, that's one of, I remember in boot camps, I saw a buddy of mine posted this, shout out Zach, posted this on Facebook the other day, and it was like, boot camp was the funniest place I've ever been where you weren't allowed to laugh. And I was like, man, that's probably the truest military meme I've ever seen in my life. But, in boot camp, when funny shit would happen, which was regularly, and the drill instructors just, they didn't break bearing. They didn't show emotion other than sheer fury, but funny stuff would happen, and they wore their drill instructor covers, and, something funny would happen and they'd pull it down over their face so that you couldn't see their cheeks lift. And, like, I find myself, I mean, when she said something about the other day about, yeah, you can do that again, just don't do it as hard this time. I like how, where do you, but I'm like that also. And so maybe it's genetic, but I'm also very quick and find the punchline, and I find or try to find the like witty, smart ass, sarcastic thing to say back. And Jamie actually was, after all of that kind of transpired and came to a close, she was like, she's you though, Brandon. And like, I didn't know you obviously as a 3-year-old, but I know you now. And like, she is you. And I've heard your mom and your aunt, my mom's sister, love you, Aunt Cindy, who, was around a lot when I was younger. They swear up and down that she is a spitting replica of me and my brain and the way I navigated the world as a toddler. So there's part of me that is like you said, in these moments of like, and that's something, you've brought it up before, but that's something that like, just like when I argue or get into a disagreement with Jamie, like at some point the ship has sailed and it's time to move on. Like you've made your point, I've made my point, and we've let's move on from it and chew on what we've bitten off a little bit. Like there's no reason to keep going and and I struggle with that. Like I want to keep talking about it. It's like, for what? We've exhausted it here.
You really are my wife.
And same with Julia. Like at some point, either the lesson has been learned or ain't shit getting learned, period. And then I've got to learn that, or put that into practice better. That like, she does. There are moments where she understands, and I can talk to her and say, hey baby, listen, like this is not okay because this reason, or this is because of whatever. And she gets it. And like, then other times there's no getting it. There is what happens Sunday afternoon. And so I think as a dad, as a parent, I've got to remember that not every misbehavior is an opportunity for me to teach her a lesson, and I do take it like that sometimes.
Ben was, you're saying that, he was eating grits for breakfast or whatever, and he wanted some more, so I made him some more, and he went around, kind of played for a little bit, came back, ate a little bit more, went and played, and then he got back and he started eating it, and I wasn't paying attention, and I walk in, because he loves our room, he loves our bedroom, and he can look at the TV and all that. I'm whatever.
Yeah.
I came back, and I mean, he's got grits, like, on his arm, on his cheek, whatever. And it's real cute up until he's on my bed. And he's like, and he thinks it's a game. He's like, he's going to get away. I said, no, really, Ben, like, you got to stop. And he like kind of looked at me. And so he started, I said, no, don't move. And so he was like, I'll get down. And he like rolled over and smeared, and I went, no. And I yelled, and I grabbed him, and he turned beet red, and his eyes watered, and he was like, and my heart broke, because I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I'm not fucking worried about grits on my bed. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm worried about. And this kid just got wrecked by me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he doesn't even know what he did. And once again, like the dog, if I should have stayed in there. I should have paid more attention. Like, he's just being a 3-year-old with some grits watching Bluey or whatever.
Right.
And it's, I don't know. It's always, because like, dude, and not to go way off, like, just way off topic, or I don't even know what topic we're on or how we got here. But you talk school shootings and stuff, and you want to watch me really get passionate about something. You want to watch me really lose my shit. You want to watch me really like, okay, this is the hill I'm gonna die on. we'll talk about that. And because, I had seen Sandy Hook, I had seen some of the stuff, but once Ben was born, I mean, it screwed me up when I picked up Aubrey and she was like in 3rd grade. And she's like, "Oh yeah, we did a active shooter drill," and I'm like, "What?
Yeah.
What?" But when Uvalde happened, like, because in my brain, I'm going, Aubrey at this point now at 15, she's got a cell phone. And then look, I graduated the year of Columbine, so high school is still a thing.
Right.
But in my mind, I'm like, there's hope I'm looking at, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds, and I'm like, I mean, the most innocent thing in the world. And it just, I don't know, man. It's like, it just wrecks me, man. And so whenever I see him like that, like, I just look at him and I go, there's nothing ever wrong with you, like, ever. And for me to ever get that frustrated or that mad at you, like, you haven't been jaded yet. You haven't been out there and seen, like, just people being mean just because they're just unhappy souls, dude, just because they're just like turned off to the world. Nobody cultivated and nurtured their unfolding, and so, like, you haven't been like ate up by that yet. And so, like, you got grits on the bed, let me just hug you. I
know. It's because I've had a couple of those experiences too, where, like, and I do. It's kind of funny or interesting, just like doing this podcast has held me accountable, because, like, as soon as I popped Julia's butt the other night, I thought about our conversation about that. And, like, so, like, doing this is also helping me hold myself accountable, but I do then start to do the, I overload myself with trying to figure out the best thing to do in this very moment, when, like, sometimes there is no best thing to do. It's just pick one. Like, have the, we talked about the calming corner before, and when all this was going down Sunday, Jamie was like, "We're about to rip that damn calming corner out the bedroom, because all she's doing in there is singing songs and playing games." That's not, and it's like, everything's constantly changing, man. But I've had a few of those moments where, my emotions got the best of me, and the look on her face has absolutely crushed me, just to where, like, my thought is like, you suck. Like, what kind of father are you, And then you bring up it's as if my own head doesn't do enough gymnastics when it comes to her safety, on the way out here, dude, there's a shooting at Skate Galaxy, which, if you're not from BR, it's like, I grew up going there with some friends and chicks, and some of my first smoochies, like, were at Skate Galaxy, like, and there's a shooting, and it's like, bro, like, and I'm not like, and again, this is all where, like, I don't think this is the theme, but for some reason this was something that's been on me coming into this, is just these expectations that I've had and what my reality actually is, and how things are changing, and it's like, I'm not going to, lump everybody that went through this into a group, but, like, when I was a kid, being homeschooled, you were a weirdo. Like, the kids getting homeschooled were weird. Now, I'm like, hey, this don't sound like that bad of an idea, and it's like, I'm also not, I'm a veteran, and I know my way around a weapon, and I conceal carry, and, my wife and I have gone to the range and everything like that, and by no means am I a Second Amendment NRA person, but for me in my house, we're going to know how to use a firearm, and my 3-year-old, when the time is appropriate, is going to know how to use a gun, like, that's whatever, like, I want, and it is, man, it's there's too much. I feel like sometimes there's too much, whatever you want to call it, evil, wrong, corruption, disturbance that goes on today. I think for me to not be aware of it, acknowledge it, and not in a way that robs Julia from having her experience growing up, but in a way that prepares her and allows her to be protected. Like that's what I'm gonna do. You know, I'm gonna do everything I can to try to protect her. You know, and I've admitted to being Mr. Helicopter Dad for sure, but like I've backed off a little bit and let her bonk her head and do dumb things and whatever and learn. But like, I don't know, maybe going back to the very beginning, maybe that's why I feel the way I feel about the playground at Chick-fil-A, you know, is that like, let this little girl have her peace. There's enough chaos that she's going to run into as life goes on. Like, let her just freaking play, you know, just let her play.
But I also don't know if society's going to be that gentle.
You're right.
If society's going to let her play, you know.
No, you're right.
It's this hard, like, line that we straddle.
Yeah.
You're trying to figure out, like, what's best for their development.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, what's just us being a genuine parent who, like, wants our kid to be safe and healthy and protected. And that's why I don't have a gun.
Yeah.
I'm self-aware.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people are like, it's not even about politics.
Yeah.
Let me let you in on Carl. Carl gets a gun. He's going to keep it because my dad had them.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up with guns, you know. I've used guns before. Maybe not always in the fashion they should have been used. But, you know, I'm going to get a pistol, you know. I'm going to get something really simple, you know, not a Glock or a 9, you know, but I'm just saying, like, I could get something real simple, you know, and keep it, you know, with a trigger lock and in a box in a safe, and it is merely for home protection, you know. And what happens is slowly I know. Well, I think, man, you know, dude, they got shootings right outside my neighborhood sometimes. And so I'm going to keep it in the glove because you just don't. And then man shot and killed or arrested for shooting middle of the interstate, whatever, at an intersection over a whatever parking spot, something, news at 11. That's who I like. I'm not confused. That's who there were posters on my wall in my parents' house, not because I was that big of a fan of those bands. You know?
Yeah.
Not because I was a big interior decorator.
Right.
You know, I have a temper. I know it's there. It's kind of this you know, like what does he say in Avengers or whatever? Like, you know, how do you whatever with the Hulk or whatever. He's like, 'cause I'm always angry. You know, it's like it's there.
Yeah.
I'm not void of it.
Sure.
And so therefore I am not, you know, beyond this idea of being aware enough to say, you're probably one of those people who should have some sort of psychological evaluation before you go get a handgun or anything.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know, man.
That's good, but that's that to me is a good thing though, to know that and have that awareness. And I'm not about to turn a dad podcast into a Second Amendment, you know.
No, it doesn't. No, not at all. No,
at all.
No,
but
no.
like that is, you know, because and I also, again, like, I don't know. It's just there's too many different.
I also come from a very long line of alcoholic, depressed people. So I'm
Sure.
also like on the other, like, I don't think this is ever going to happen.
Yeah,
but I also
sure.
don't want to like have my
Dude,
family ever have to clean anything up.
Around the corner from my house on Friday, you probably seen this on the news too. This guy, 60-something-year-old man,
Lives
with his dad,
and
shot
the
his
daughter.
dad, then his 30-year-old daughter, then himself, and I don't know what his status is now, but was then rushed to the hospital in critical care. And I just like, I think about that kind of stuff, and sure, it's easy for me like to sit here today and go like I could never imagine taking my daughter's life, you know, like, and that's where I go. There's plenty of people out there that aren't getting the help that they need.
So that's a whole nother.
That's another 6 episodes, and you know, that's a soft spot for me as a vet for sure. But again, like, another just cool thing about this is it makes me walk away and think about what I'm doing. It makes me walk away and think about what I'm not doing. It makes me put myself into other people's shoes. I mean, it did. When I heard about that, it put me in that dad's shoes to think, like, how bad did it get for that to be a decision that I made, or
well,
consciously or
like I go to Angola.
Yeah.
I go to the state penitentiary and talk with those guys, and I would say 90% of the dudes in there, especially the ones doing life, they'll tell you I didn't wake up that day with that plan.
Yeah.
That wasn't what But whatever drugs, alcohol were involved, whatever the case may be, and I try to be a part of anything that's trying to rehabilitate. I mean, dude, we were watching they have that WWE Legends biography, and it's like season 4 or whatever. And I watch it because I like hearing all these backstories about these cats, like where they came from, like what made Jake the Snake, right? And like he's known as like the huge crackhead who like completely destroyed his life and was like resurrected, and it's the resurrection. Well, they had this one on like Scott Hall, the old Razor Ramon, and like I watched him, like we watched this, me and Courtney, it was like 2 hours long, but we watched it, and I'm watching him like falling over himself. Like this was a dude who when I was like 10, 11, 12 years old, he was bigger than life. He was Hulk Hogan. He was Bret the Hitman. He was one of these big personalities, and you're watching wrestling, and I'm going like, that guy's the coolest guy in the world. He uses machismo, hey, jabron, that whole thing with the toothpick, and I'm watching this guy like literally falling over himself, and he's totally perked out and drunk, and they show like bloated and all that. And then he gets with this other guy, DDP. He's got this yoga thing, and like he's been big on like trying to help his former wrestling buddies or whatever. But he kind of resurrected himself, or with the help of DDP or whatever. And he gave his Hall of Fame speech, and it's real short, but it was like looking at him, and like Courtney turned around, and I am weeping. I'm just crying. And she's like, oh, she's crying, And I just looked at her, I said, like, but to watch somebody, and I guess especially another man, watch a man literally get to a place, because, people are overdosing, people are dying, and it's sad, don't get me wrong. Overdose and all that, it's tragic. But watching people literally live that for like 40 years and the just complete isolated, estranged hermit that you become, and you just destroy yourself, and to watch them kind of resurrect like a phoenix from the ashes, it's beautiful to me, and so I try to look past a lot of those guys and what they did when they're in Angola, because I'm watching them trying to do everything they can to also be mentors to the guys who are doing shorter time, who are going to get reentry and all that, and but
it's cool. I think I know we're coming up on time, but I think it's cool that the opportunities that or the chaos that our lives became at one point or another, and the coming out the other side of it, and in listening to Robin a little bit last week, like I heard a lot of unintentional similarities between some of those type of things, and to get to be in a position where, like, you get to be an example, you get to be whether it be to those guys in Angola, whether it be to, for me when I was coaching baseball, or to friends, and then ultimately kids today. Like, I think that is that's the biggest gift, is that, like, I finally, whether I know it, like it, or want it or not, like, we get to finally be in this spot where, back to your kind of talking about earlier, like we have a garden to water now. You know, like we have a plant to nurture and to water and tend to, and it's exciting to watch it. I've never really been into gardening myself, but you know, like it is exciting. It is something that I never expected to be as rewarding as it's been already in these first, you know, almost 4 years. Just to, you know, somebody told me one time, I don't know if this is true or not, because I only have one of the two experiences, but somebody said that, you know, your life changes drastically as a man when you have your first child and when your parents pass. When it becomes,
can speak to both.
When it becomes you know, and it's a beautiful thing, man. And I'm not encouraging anybody to just like go out and start humping and making gardens, but like if you have a garden, bro, tend to it. You know,
sure.
It's pretty awesome.
On that note, also just in closing, I want to give a shout out. I didn't do it at the beginning, but I do. The Metal Dad Collective on Facebook.
Yeah.
Man, reached out to these cats. So it's a bunch of dads. This dude who I'm talking to, he like owns a mechanic shop. He's a mechanic, whatever. But he's got some buddies, and they're into like serious hardcore death metal, like the metal scene of all metal scenes.
Yeah.
And, you know, like a Pop-Tart, don't judge the outside and all the crustiness, see the ooey gooey inside. Because these are a bunch of dads, and like they created this Facebook group, and they all talk, and it's gone global. Like people from like I think Luxembourg and Scotland and all this, and but like they all love the same scene, and they all reach out and talk to each other, and they created Metal Dad merch. And I remember reaching out to him and being like, hey, you know, do you ever want to like get involved, maybe sponsor? But he does want to come on the show, which I was like, please, like we could zoom you in. He's in San Diego, but he was like, no, we created that. It's a not for profit, and it's to put money in a pot for dads who may sometimes like need, you know. And I'm just like, we need more of this.
Dude.
We need more of this.
I'll never forget, and then I'm going to shut up. I'll never forget whenever Julia was born, we were leaving the hospital. And like this may come across as judgmental, and I'm going to apologize ahead of time because it's not, but just like that level of care, concern, attention to being a dad made me think of this story. But Julia was born, we're taking her home. I got the whatchamadoodle on my arm with her in it. They're wheeling Jamie out in the wheelchair. And there was this lady sitting there in her wheelchair holding this newborn baby. And this guy comes flying in his car to the same parking area, and he pulls up and gets out, and she goes, I thought you were going to be here 3 hours ago. And he said, oh, it's a girl? And I just went, thank you. Like, I don't know what happened. I don't know what the situation was. My assumption was that kid's dad. And I'm grateful that whatever examples were passed down to me, whatever life I was given and born into, guys like that, guys like y'all, that you know, this place is not an easy place for kids to grow up in anymore, and I think we kind of have the responsibility to make it a little bit easier by being there and being present and being involved and trying to help the dads that aren't quite sure what is up from down, you know, and as far as showing love and support and attention and care. I don't know what made me think of that story other than just how grateful I am that this is something that's the most important thing in the world to me, you know.
Sure.
But
well,
anyway,
with that, yeah, man, official Doodads podcast. Check us out on the YouTube channel, Doodads Podcast. You can check us out on TikTok, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram.
Leave some comments.
Yeah, go to our link tree. Again, Dad Gang Company. Get your headgear from them. When you're checking out with your cart, go into the promo code area and put Doodads 14721. That's DODADS 14721. Get you 10% off.
Yeah, if you have a head and you're not wearing something from them, it's just an utter disappointment.
Tell them we sent you. Also, if you like what you see, there's some merch coming soon. Shirts, hats, hoodies.
Fucking nice.
But, you know, whatever. We just want to hear from you. So also, you know, leave a comment, hit the thing, hit the ding, hit the bell. This one was for my friend Lindsay and my buddy TK. Hope you're listening. Love you, brother.
Have a good week, dude.
You too, man.
See you this weekend.
Love you, brother.
Love you, man.